And I think at this point in time, when Nigeria is about electing the first citizen, Nigerian president, it is necessary to throw the door open, both to the older politicians who had not themselves convicted of one crime or the other, or who were merely banned because they have been too long in politics. And I think these are the people who are now also participating. But those people who have been convicted of one offense or another, they are still affected by Decree 25.
In fact, support for Babangida's political setup held steady. He had overcome problems which might have divided the country. With National Assembly elections due in July 1992, the handover was going well. Alhaji Abari was to swallow his surprise at being unbanned. He now planned to contest those elections the following summer. Meanwhile, for the new politics, Abuja represented a fresh start. Maybe that was why Babangida moved his government to the capital. Throughout the following months, the new National Assembly building went up for the legislators to move in after the transition. For Babangida, the city was a symbol of unity at the center of the country. Yes, it was a break with the past, but it also meant continuity, with streets named after former heads of state. There were practical reasons for the move to Abuja. Lagos had become hopelessly congested. It was hard to move from A to B, and there was a lot of crime on the streets. Abuja, on the other hand, had been built for the future. Civil servants now awoke each morning to a city in peace and quiet. As the transition progressed, Babangida's concern for reform extended to foreign policy. The OAU summit at Abuja in 1991 was a landmark for his international prestige.
All Nigerians have supported government efforts.
Here and elsewhere, he announced that democracy and the free market were guarantees of stability.
I think that President Babangida must feel that Nigeria and indeed Africa as a whole must be part of the mainstream of the international movement. And there is no denying the fact that internationally now the free market economy is the in thing, and it's not just a matter of fashion, but a matter of experience.
Some other African leaders will disagree. They'll argue that rich nations are interfering in the affairs of their countries by demanding reforms. At the United Nations in November 1991, Babangida hammered home his campaigning approach. He now called for debt forgiveness in exchange for economic reform. A lot of people agreed.
If Nigeria were to service its debt, which has risen to the extent that it has now become, it would need to spend over 70% of its export earnings on debt servicing every year. How can you plan for development, for growth in that sort of circumstances?
Babangida was urging rich countries to specifically reward African democracy. He even complained of their apparent indifference.
If this neglect and this indifference continue, disillusionment may arise with democracy in the face of persistent and extreme economic hardship. Aware of this interrelationship between democracy and development, many countries in Africa are pursuing economic reform side by side with the restructuring of the political process.